So we're responding right now for a report of a shooting victim. 2 gunshot victims. One's a CPR and the other one shot in back and she's alert. But this one, this is a CPR right now.
Okay.
And then you got this one with a gunshot wound to the back that's being addressed already. All right, we're on a scene of a multiple shooting. We have 2 gunshot victims. One's in the ambulance being treated by the EMTs and the paramedics. And the second victim's being treated by the fire department, and we're waiting. The second ambulance is on the way here now. Paramedics on the scene, they're assessing it, and they're treating both victims at this time. Is he stable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The bullet's sitting right here in the front of his.
All right.
Welcome back to Unreal Minds, where we uncover the stories that shock, captivate, and stay with us. A single choice can change everything. For Edwina Brown, that choice wasn't just life-altering. It changed her life forever. Imagine surviving a dangerous situation, forgiving the person involved, and then choosing to marry them. Hard to believe, right? But Edwina did just that. And just when she thought she was finally free, when she was preparing to leave for good, things took an unexpected turn. What happened next left investigators stunned, and the truth was far more complex than anyone imagined. So grab your detective hats, because this case will leave you speechless. Edwina Brown was a 36-year-old woman living in Little Rock, Arkansas, a city with charm in its streets, but shadows in its corners. Friends called her vibrant, kind-hearted, a light in a complicated world. That is, until she met Danny Morris Brown. In the early 2000s, sparks flew fast. Danny was all charm and intensity, maybe too much intensity. To Edwina, he seemed perfect, at first. But not every love story stays sweet. Over time, Danny's charm became problematic. He grew overbearing. Friends couldn't miss it. Arguments became their constant background noise. By 2012, Edwina was done. She walked away and soon found a fresh start with Daniel Hill. Then, everything flipped. On a quiet day in 2012, Edwina and Daniel were unexpectedly confronted by 2 strangers. In a moment, Daniel was no longer with her, and Edwina was left in a critical situation. Police dug into the confusion and uncovered a jaw-dropper. The individuals involved claimed Danny Brown, Edwina's ex, had sent them to address a personal matter. But here's where it becomes surprising. Evidence pointed straight at Danny, yet Edwina wouldn't say a word against him. The case? It fell apart. Charges dropped. Why would she shield him? Fear? Loyalty? Something else entirely? Stick around. This story's about to twist in ways you won't believe. After surviving a nightmare most would flee from, Edwina didn't just stay, she doubled down. She married Danny Morris Brown, the man accused of being involved in the unfortunate event. It's a decision that defies logic, and it's where this story starts to twist. Why tie yourself to someone who might have tried to harm you? Some call it trauma bonding, a psychological knot where fear and loyalty blend together. Studies show 1 in 4 survivors cling to those who harmed them, mistaking control for care. Was Edwina caught in that web, or was there more pulling her in? Friends saw cracks early. Late-night calls from Danny, his voice low, urgent, kept Edwina awake. One night, her sister overheard her whisper, "You owe me this." Owe her what? Then there's the letter. A crumpled page, found stuffed behind a dresser after the wedding. Danny's handwriting, jagged and rushed. "I'll fix it, trust me." Fix what? The promise felt hollow when neighbors started noticing things. Danny vanishing for hours, returning with mud-streaked boots and no explanation. Their marriage wasn't the fairy tale Edwina sold to the world. A delivery guy once saw her flinch when Danny grabbed her arm. firmly. Another time, a neighbor spotted Edwina alone on their porch, staring at a Polaroid she quickly hid when approached. What was on that photo, and why did she clutch it like a lifeline? Rumors swirled. She was planning to leave, but something or someone kept her rooted. Then came the night that shifted everything. A phone rang at 3 a.m. Not the house line, but a burner phone Edwina kept hidden. She answered, her voice trembling. Whoever was on the other end spoke for less than a minute. When she hung up, she didn't sleep. The next morning, a single sentence slipped out to a friend. He knows where it's buried. What was buried? Evidence? A secret? Or something far worse? Danny started acting strange after that call. He was seen digging in the backyard at dawn, dirt under his nails, eyes darting like a hunted animal. Edwina stopped leaving the house. A week later, a stranger showed up. Sharp suit, no name, asking questions about a package Danny had mailed months earlier. What was in it? And why did Edwina lie and say she'd never seen it? Whatever came next didn't just disrupt their fragile life. It shook a quiet town and exposed a lie so tangled even the police didn't see it coming. Want to know the real kicker? The truth was already in front of them. They just didn't know where to look. On March 27th, 2023, the walls of Edwina and Danny's Little Rock home couldn't hold the tension any longer. Years of unresolved issues and mistrust came to a head. In a moment of intense emotion, a tragic event occurred, resulting in Edwina's untimely passing. Before anyone could react, Danny slipped away, disappearing into the night as neighbors stood frozen, piecing together the situation left behind.
Yes,
Look at the screen.
that's mine. And I'm gonna stick beside him.
That's what you're going to settle for.
I'm gonna stick beside him.
The hunt was on. Law enforcement chased Danny across state lines, their search relentless. Days passed with no sign, until a sharp-eyed tip pointed them to a rundown motel in Dallas, Texas. The scene was electric. Flashing lights cut through the dark, officers' voices boomed, and Danny, trapped with nowhere to hide, was taken into custody. His run was over. This wasn't a sudden breakdown. It was the end of a long, complicated road, paved with betrayal. But then, something no one expected happened. Back at the house, investigators dug deeper, and what they found next changed everything. Tucked inside Edwina's nightstand was a one-way plane ticket to Mexico, dated for March 28th, just one day after the event. Paid in cash, hidden beside an old passport, it was a secret she'd kept close. The room went quiet. Was Edwina planning to disappear? Had she been steps away from breaking free? Or was there another reason she'd booked that flight? One question stood out above the rest. Did Danny know? That ticket turned the story upside down, hinting at a more complicated truth than anyone had guessed. Stick around. What's coming next will leave you speechless. The investigation didn't waste a second. Evidence at the scene, details like timelines and physical clues, pointed straight at Danny. Neighbors backed it up, recalling heated arguments that echoed through the walls for days. The tension was building, and it had finally reached its breaking point. Danny faced serious charges, locked away as the legal storm brewed. The prosecution painted him as a man with a cold heart, calculated and harsh. The defense countered, claiming he was overwhelmed by emotion, pushed too far. But then, something no one expected happened. While sifting through Edwina's belongings, investigators stumbled upon a journal hidden beneath a loose floorboard. Its pages were a window into her final days, filled with worry, unease, and a name scrawled in the margins, Marcus. Who was he? A friend? A foe? The entries spoke of secret meetings and hushed phone calls, hinting at a plan Edwina was desperate to keep under wraps. The discovery surprised the room. Marcus was a mystery. No one in Edwina's circle knew him. But digging deeper, police found a connection that tied him to Danny's past, a man with a grievance and a shadow over his name. Suddenly, the case opened wide. If only they had realized what was coming. Then, something no one expected happened. Just as investigators thought they had a handle on Edwina's legal troubles, a new lead surfaced that changed everything. A cryptic note, tucked away in a locked drawer at her home, caught their eye. It wasn't long, just a few scribbled words. They know. Get out now. Who wrote it? Who was they? And why was Edwina warned to run? The discovery sent the team scrambling. Was this tied to her legal issues, or was something bigger lurking beneath the surface? Detectives dug into her phone records, chasing down every call, every text. What they found next changed everything. In the days before the tragic event, Edwina had been in contact with an unknown number over a dozen times. The calls stopped abruptly the night everything happened. Here's where it gets surprising. That same number popped up in another case. A missing person investigation 2 towns over. Coincidence? Maybe. But one detail didn't add up. The last message Edwina sent to that number said, "I won't let you ruin me." Ruin her how? Was she pushing back against a threat or hiding something of her own? Then came the moment that surprised everyone in the room. A neighbor came forward with a story they'd kept quiet until now. They saw a stranger lingering outside Edwina's house the week before the event. Dark jacket, hood up, gone in a flash. No one thought much of it at the time. If only they had realized what was ahead. As the pieces piled up, one thing became clear. Edwina's life was a puzzle with missing edges. The legal troubles, the note, the calls, the stranger, were they all connected? Or was this a tangled web of secrets unraveling too late? Investigators were closing in, but the clock was ticking, and what they uncovered next would leave everyone stunned. As we reach the end of this gripping tale, the story of Edwina Brown doesn't just fade away, it sticks with you. It's not just a tragic case, it's a puzzle that lingers. How does trust turn into a trap? Why did Edwina stay with Danny Maurice Brown, even as the shadows grew heavier around her? And here's the question that stays with us most. Was there a single moment, a fleeting chance, that could have changed everything? Edwina wasn't just a name lost to time. She was a daughter, a friend, a person whose life ended at the hands of someone she once held dear. Her story cuts deep, reminding us how quickly things can shift. But it's more than that. It's a wake-up call. If you or someone you know feels trapped, help is out there. Reach out. You're not alone in this. Then, something no one expected happened. After the trial, when the dust had settled, a letter landed on the prosecutor's desk. No name, no return address. Just a few words scratched in black ink. You missed the truth. What did it mean? Was there a piece of Edwina's story still hidden, waiting to be found? Or was it a taunt from someone who knew more than they'd ever admit? The case files might be closed, but the mystery lingers like a shadow that won't lift. This isn't just about looking back. It's about looking forward. Edwina's story can light the way. It can push us to ask hard questions, to spot the signs, to act before it's too late. Awareness isn't just power. It's a lifeline. If this case gripped you, if it left you restless like it did us, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. We've got more stories like this coming your way. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Why do you think Edwina stayed? Could anything have rewritten her ending? Your voice keeps this alive, so let's talk about it. Stay sharp, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.